Hello everybody, how you going? I'm Stefan Casaminos. You might have encountered me, to your great misfortune, at some point in the past 3 or 4 years or even longer. I've been coming down here for many, many years, playing at Port Fairy Spring Music Festival, and in the past few years having more of an active role as the artistic director with Monica Kuro as we're co-artistic directors of that festival. And it's a great, great pleasure to have been invited by the amazing Martin Sullivan. That is his epithet from now on. It's a great pleasure to have been invited by Martin Sullivan to be the master of ceremonies for today's concert. So I'll be introducing everybody for you today and giving you a little bit of background where necessary. But my number one priority is to not say very much at all, because I could actually stand here and speak for 2 hours. So you'll forgive me if I'm brief. You won't forgive me if I speak for too long. Number one, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the people of the Gunditjmara, Peak, Wurrung and Eastern Maar nations, and pay our deepest and heartfelt respects to their elders, past and present, on unceded land. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be with us in the audience today. And this is an incredible bit of land which houses an incredible structure. And when we begin by acknowledging things, one has to acknowledge the people who built this building originally and thought it was a good idea on the edge of a kind of, is it a mountain or a hill? What would you call it? Volcano, thank you. Extinct volcano. Decided to build this incredible structure, and there's just too many people to thank in between for all of the little contributions and large contributions and mammoth contributions that have been made to mean that we can now stand here in a deconsecrated church and hear the music that we're about to hear. And of course, the big reason that we're here today is because until about a month ago, this church was fairly empty of musical instruments, and it now has that enormous Shigeru Kawai SK7 grand piano in it. Now this piano is Martin Sullivan's piano. He's just bought it and he wants to keep it here so that we can all use it. So to Martin, we extend our enormous and heartfelt thanks.
Thank you. I wonder if I'll get that sort of applause when I finish playing. I just want to say it's a privilege to have the quality of this piano. It's a handcrafted piano. There's only a few of these pianos permitted into Australia per year. The Kawai company cannot build them handmade to supply the volume of people that want them. So to have this piano, the Shigeru SK7 here in St. Brigid's is an absolute privilege, and I just feel the warmth of all the musical talent, the concerts in the future. It's just going to be amazing. So I'm absolutely stoked that we are all here. It's been a long road, and my goodness, it's going to be a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. I'm going to spend 2 minutes explaining something. When I was about, how old was I? 23 years old. I really needed a grand piano at home to practice on, and I couldn't afford one. And so I had this mate who talked to a mate who talked to a mate, and they went to Kawai and said, would you be happy to support Stefan Casaminos? And Kawai said yes. And so, number one, I had a grand piano at home from Kawai, not like this, a much smaller one and a factory-produced one, but to practice on. Number two, anytime Kawai called me to do anything, I did it. And one of the big things that I used to do was go around to various places that sell Koroit pianos in the country, showrooms, and I used to play on lots and lots of Shigeru Koroits and give presentations about why I thought they were great instruments. And it wasn't a lie, because I chose Koroit as the company that I wanted to be supported by, because I really loved the pianos. And so I've played heaps and heaps of Shigeru Koroit pianos in my life, and I could probably talk for 2 hours about what makes them unique and individual, how they're made, etc., etc. I might do that a little bit later, but I will also say that Koroit are massive supporters of music in this country. Not just me, but lots and lots of venues and events, and things like Australian Digital Concert Hall would not exist because of Koroit supporting them with the loan of a piano. Things like Port Fairy Spring Music Festival would not exist were it not for Koroit's support by providing 4 or 5 pianos each year in October for the past 10, 15 years. They've been supporting us, and that's absolute total sponsorship. So we are incredibly indebted to them. And the reason I've spent 2 minutes talking about that is because Martin didn't know any of that when he went and bought his Koroit piano. And when I got a message in the middle of last year saying, Stefan, I've bought a Shigeru Koroit and I want to put it at St. Brigid's, I thought, how on earth did that happen? That's a confluence of events. It's driven by probably 2 major things. One, because Martin's heard a lot of Shigeru Koroits and he's played them and he knows how beautiful they are to play. And having played this one, I have to say it's a particularly beautiful one. They're all really different because they're handmade. So you can play one Shigeru Koroit and another Shigeru Koroit and get a completely different feel, a completely different sound. Always certain things which are amazing, but some of them are just really special. And so I will, as I said to you, I talk too much. So let's introduce the first group of performers who we have today. We have a trio of keyboard players. One of them will be playing a Shigeru Koroit. The other 2 will be playing a Korg. And what are you playing, Ruslan? What instrument? Piano. What kind? Okay. Serves me right for putting him on the spot. Okay, so we have 2 digital instruments and 1 Shigeru Koroit. And they've asked me to introduce their piece for them. They are going to be playing an incredibly famous, viral piece called Canto Ostinato. This is a piece by a composer called Simeon Tenhold, who died about 6 years ago, and his music is the kind of music that millions and millions and millions of people want to listen to on YouTube. I hope I become like him one day, but in the meantime, we have this incredible piece, Canto Ostinato. Now this piece goes for 2 hours, but the version that we're going to hear is a shortened version which goes for around about 10 minutes. Please make them welcome Anita, Ruslan and David Long. Here they are.
We've performed it before, but it's always hard to pick a date for 4 people, so our 4th person was not available this weekend. So we actually do 4 parts with 3 people.
thank you so much to these amazing musicians. I love ensembles which feature 3 pianists in them, being a pianist myself. So I particularly enjoyed that magnificent piece, and I can hear exactly why it's gone viral. It's fantastic, fantastic, epic music. Canto ostinato means, well, an ostinato is a little figure which is repeated over and over again, whereas a canto is a song. So there's a lot of music that sounds like this, which doesn't have so many gorgeous melodies in it. So thank you for that very special treat, Anita and Ruslan and David.